right. And I think we should be good. Just gotta reload this. And okay. Okay. Hello. And all right. Oh, hey guys. Let me catch up with the comments here. Oh, everybody's just catching up. Cool. Hello. Slight headache today, so I'm going to still do my best to keep this at an hour today, mainly because a lot of screen time. Got this light shining on me. It's a lot of light, big for my head. But how's everyone doing? There's a lot that, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but there are a few updates for the channel that I really want to just talk about and get into. So, but before we do that, I just want to see how you guys are doing. And if you guys have any questions or anything before we jump into it. Hello, John and Janin. Thank you guys for being here. That is really kind of you to do. Sorry, I'm a little awkward. I'm pretty socialed out, actually. Yesterday, I had a wonderful opportunity of visiting Disneyland, and I went there from bell to bell, 8 a.m. to midnight. And even though my feet are a little sore, I didn't feel tired at all, which lets me know that my workouts are doing something good. And it was a really good day, even though the middle of the day was very busy. With my expert Disney planning skills and a lot of luck, I made it happen. So it was a good time. And I also, check this out. So for those that don't know, I adore Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is not only something from my childhood that I really love, but I love the fact that he's just so wholesome and is always there, and just the entire cast of characters in that world is really sweet. So I got, for my partner, because she collects these, a pressed penny that says Critter Country on it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says Critter Country on it. And on the other side is, and again, I don't know if it can get out or not, but there's a Winnie the Pooh. So it's I'm hoping she likes it, but she loves little trinkets like this, especially these types of pennies. So I think she'll like it. But outside of that, hi, Blue. But cool. I'm glad it came into focus. It was hard to tell. But yeah, it was a wonderful time. I don't really get the opportunity to communicate a lot with strangers. I'm pretty awkward like that. I'm always very reserved, and people usually come up to me to talk to me about things. So when I was there, but especially in recent months, I've been pushing myself considerably more to to talk to more people and to branch out more. And when I was there, I spoke to a lot of the workers, and there was a mom in line for a couple lines that we shared, and she had, I want to say it wasn't, her daughter couldn't have been any more than like 2 or 3, and she and I were just having a really wonderful talk, and it was so kind. And like, normally these talks really wouldn't matter to most people, but I just love human interaction, despite my inability to do so well. And it was just very pleasant. At the second ride that we went on was the Alice in Wonderland ride, and she even asked if I wanted to share the car with her, and I declined, but I thought it was a very genuine and sincere offer, and I thought that was really just nice. It made me feel nice to know that just in those few short moments we built a decent enough rapport to feel comfortable sharing a ride vehicle for 90 seconds or whatever. So that was nice. I enjoyed that. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the updates that I created for the channel. So when I was there and I was eating lunch over there, I was writing out all of my thoughts as to what is it that I really want to engage with in terms of the channel. Thank you for being here, Rewalt. But yeah, there were a lot of ideas that I was throwing around, and a couple of them really, really stuck. A few I had to change out and rework. And even though this isn't everything that this channel is going to be moving forward and forever, the ideas that I'm about to share are ideas that I really want to engage more with. So let's just jump into that. So, whoop, pow. And just to make sure, there we go. Okay. So, the first is Sunday. I'm going to do game playthroughs, and I know that a lot of you aren't here because of games, but this is storytelling channel. I really love storytelling and want to engage with games that have storytelling. So that's going to be on YouTube and Patreon, but they're going to be released at different times. Patreon is going to be sooner, obviously. Monday is music reaction and analysis. Tuesday is original content, meaning honest opinions, critiques, working through life problems in a creative setting, whether it's I play my own quote-unquote therapist and client and just go back and forth and having fun with editing or something. I have music reaction and analysis again on Wednesday, so Mondays and Wednesdays would be the time to do that. That is also for YouTube primarily, and also me filming and editing a lot of gaming content as well, but that's not going to be posted, so it's just going to be for YouTube in terms of postings on that day. But don't think that I'm slacking off. And Thursdays is going to be devoted to the live stream while also filming more of the gaming and YouTube music content. And Fridays and Saturdays I'm going to take off. So, let me get back here. So, pretty much, the idea of it is that I how do I say this? It's more like in the future, I would really love the opportunity to go out and vlog and take some very creative and fun ideas and just explore the world. That's something I really, really want to do. I don't know if vlogging is for me, but I have to try it at least. But as of right now, Tuesdays, I want to start incorporating original content and see how good I can make those types of content. Because reactions are so difficult to get through copyright. You know, I hear a bunch of people saying, oh, this artist doesn't copyright their stuff, or, oh, you know, you don't have to worry about these things, or whatever. And, you know, I get that, but at the same time, a lot of that content that they're saying is not blocked or is not copyrighted is copyrighted. And it's very difficult to navigate. A lot of my videos, especially recently, have been getting slammed with copyright. So, and it's not to say that I don't want to keep doing music, but I do want to start taking detours from it and start exploring with other ideas for content. Whether it's through active enjoyment of real storytelling through games and animation, or through working out very specific problems that either I might be facing or any of you might be facing. If you guys reach out to me with any particular problem and I come up with a particular format that is very engaging and is fun to watch or listen to and can just be put on in the background while I just provide some thought-provoking ideas, perhaps. But ultimately, I want to start stepping into that field a little bit more. You know, I read a lot of books, and I really want to start putting a lot of these concepts that I'm learning into practice, not just in the books, but in life experience as well. So that would be really cool to do. But even beyond that, the gaming stuff eats up a ton of time, way more than music reactions do. And going even beyond that, editing them takes a tremendous amount of time as well. Pretty much each of those videos is a full day endeavor. And it's on top of that, I want to start working with my sister to help actually create some kind of set behind me. Because I feel like not the biggest thing in the world, but I do feel like there is a certain level of discomfort that comes with me being in a bedroom. And because my camera is in a fixed position, my desk is in a fixed position, I can't really move things around because everything is as is, you know, and unless I get a bunch of extension cables and completely rework everything in my room, and I just don't have not necessarily the time to do that, but it's more of I have a consistent upload schedule and I try to keep consistent with it as often as possible. And it would take a very long time to get everything around when I already have a very busy schedule as it is. Not just with YouTube, but in life. So there's just a lot kind of working against me in that regard. So I'm hoping my sister can come at some point and help me either create some kind of screen or help me with lighting and things like that. The feng shui, if you will. Let me catch up here. Would you ever post a vlog like your day at Disney? So, one, I don't know necessarily how to vlog, and it's not even, like, one, I don't have the equipment necessary to vlog. Like, yes, I have my camera, but my camera has a battery life, and I don't have the batteries for it. I don't have a gimbal to keep my camera steady, so it's going to be shaky a lot. A lot of it is just acquiring the tools for that. Another would be thinking about separating my personal life from my work, where if I go out and truly want to enjoy something, I don't want to think of it as I'm looking through, or I'm experiencing this unique and rich experience, not through my own eyes, but through the camera's lens. And that's always been a really big issue with me, whether I've been at Disney or even beyond that, whether I've gone out and experienced something really rich and unique, like a concert that I've never seen before, or going out into a particular national park and just seeing people on their phones recording everything. I get it, but I don't like it. I want to experience something without, like, from a human level, not with technology. But at that same point, you know, I recognize the value and utility in it. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about vlogging. It is something that I want to experiment and explore with, but it does feel very off to me. Like I said in past videos, YouTube is my only form of social media. I really just want to experience the world in my own eyes and not through the eyes of others, not through the eyes of a camera lens, but just me getting the human experience. And it'll be very difficult to navigate and balance that. But, you know, there's a world of possibilities, so I'm not going to discount it or count it out yet. But I do have my concerns, for sure. What is your plan for Patreon content? So I already have videos put out onto Patreon. It's just not launched yet. And some of those videos are music and reaction videos that will not be released to YouTube. Some of those include Pentatonics and Jeff Castellucci, voice play. And I also have a video of me singing to an accompaniment track of Schubert's piece, Der Doppelgänger, which Peter Barber actually just released, and I thought that he did a wonderful job with that. So there's going to be different types of content on there, whether it's music, reaction, and analysis solely for Patreon. There's going to be early access for videos that I put on YouTube, but it's going to be early for Patreon. There's going to be miscellaneous videos as well of content that I want to explore with that will solely be for Patreon. And that's pretty much going to be my testing ground of ideas and see what my audience really likes before I really push it out into the world. So that's pretty much the plan for YouTube or Patreon currently. Just pop over to Ireland and I'll show you around. Should fill a half hour. I'd love to visit Ireland. There's so many places I want to visit, man. Like just yesterday, I went on the canoes, and I love the canoes. The canoes make me so happy. And I was speaking with the mom of this family that was also on the canoes, and she and her family were from New Zealand, and we just got on a small little conversation about just traveling and New Zealand and what it's like being in North America, and it was a pleasant conversation. So ultimately, what I'm saying is, I would love to visit. Is there an IKEA near you? They sell foldable screens, room dividers that you can set up when you film and fold up when you're done. I wouldn't say there's necessarily one near me, but also, I have a very small car and don't have a lot of room to fit things in, like large screens. Like, are you talking about like foldable screens that can actually fit in a small car, or are they really long that fold up? Because those are tough. But I fear not, though. I'm working with, or rather, my sister's very busy right now, but I'm going to be working with my sister to create something that's quality in the future. I've seen green screens that attach to the back of the chair. Yeah, I've seen those too. I'm trying not to rely too much on the chair. The chair squeaks a lot, and when I edit videos, I try to edit out squeaks, but sometimes it comes into my voice. So I would like to get a better chair as well at some point. Okay. Yeah, I'll consider those. The 6 foot, Amazon has them, or you'll need at least 6. Amazon has them too, so you can get them delivered. Okay. Yeah, I'll consider them for sure. But yeah, I'm just working on exploring with new ideas, new content. And Patreon is going to be the grounds for that, on top of exclusive content for it. But yeah, as of right now, I'm playing through the Kingdom Hearts series, and I love that franchise. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to, I've only played very early Game Boy Legend of Zelda games, so I haven't played pretty much most of them, like Majora's Mask or Breath of the Wild or anything in between, so I'd like to jump on those opportunities as well. Just things that have very good world building, fun storytelling. I know Hades has been a very popular game, and I would love to jump on that train, especially since Hades 2 is coming out soon. I believe sometime in 2025, officially. And I really love Greek mythos, Greek and Roman mythos. I heard the main character's name in the first game is Zagreus. I've heard that name in passing, but I'm not really as familiar with his lore. So it'll be interesting to look it up and then play the game and see how the lore of all of the characters meshes in with each other. So I'm really excited to actually do games like that, but that content is going to be considerably longer. I'm talking hour plus content. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll be longer than that for videos that you can always just come back to over time. Maybe it'll be shorter for more bite-sized content, but however it works, you know, I need to explore it and experiment with it. Oh Lord, I'll never get the Kingdom Hearts music out of my head. One of my kids played the lard out of that. Let me tell you, Kingdom Hearts music, some of the best video game music I've ever heard in my life. Just incredible. I love it. I love Kingdom Hearts music. But I'm sorry it was overplayed. Or rather, I have nothing to apologize for, but it sucks that it was overplayed, I should say. I find myself wishing you weren't clear across the country from you. When you work in a small rep company, set building and decorating becomes part of the theatrical toolbox. Typos are us. I'm not quite sure what that means. But when I was in university, a lot of the theater students who weren't just actors, they had to take tons of classes about set building and set design and lighting and staging and things like that. So they're pretty much any theater student is a handyman as well. Which I thought was pretty cool. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. The splitting headache is very difficult to get through. But, yeah. Let's see. In terms of the working through problems, though, for Tuesday's content, I'm going to start with a couple of my own that I'm really excited to work through. But ultimately, I would like to take challenges that people might be facing and that other people might be facing, so I can step outside of my own issues and actually do my best to connect with my audience on a more broad scale, with not any kind of therapeutic advice, but just work through things in a way that I would navigate, just to provide some level of perspective. What's your favorite game music? Oh, that is a good question. Favorite is a very difficult word to define. It's very, like, I've made this argument in the past of what determines an artist to be the best, but because favorite can mean what makes me feel the best versus what I think is objectively the best. Even though I don't think that, even though there could be like objective skill involved, I don't think music itself can be objectively the best. But the favorite, it feels like a very similar tie-in. That's a very tough question. Honestly, if I were to think about simple, well-composed music that fit very perfectly within a game, the 100-Acre Woodland in Kingdom Hearts 2 makes me very happy. Like I mentioned, Winnie the Pooh is one of my... It holds a very strong special place in my heart. And the music is very sentimental to me. And I always feel good when I listen to Winnie the Pooh. So to hear that kind of music adapted to a game is so wonderfully charming, and it makes me happy every time I hear it. So if I'm translating, or rather defining, favorite meaning the music that I can listen to most often that makes me feel the most good, Kingdom Hearts Winnie the Pooh music is my favorite. There's so many good game music to choose from, so favorite varies at times. Few for me that I can say now that Nier Automata and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I've only played through the first 5 minutes of Nier, and honestly, I should get back into it. Like, I didn't give it as fair of a chance that I should have. I actually own the game, I just never got through it. I've only played, very similarly to Nier, only 5 minutes of Halo, so I should absolutely play that game. But I don't have an Xbox. I only have a PlayStation, a Nintendo 64, and a computer. So I don't know if I have the controllers or consoles needed to play Halo, but it looks incredible. And I should absolutely listen to that music. I even heard that VoicePlay did a cover of Halo music, and I've never heard it, so maybe that'll be in the cards for the future. But I feel like I should play Halo before I listen to that, right? But that's because memory's not necessarily quality. Yeah, I mean, nostalgia and how we look so fondly at our past is such a huge game changer in how we look at and assess things. Just had something drop into my feed. Shostakovich's folk dances played by the U.S. Marine Corps Wind and Brass. Very nice. Shostakovich is an incredible composer. VoicePlay's version of Halo is excellent. I believe you. It would be shocking to me if VoicePlay didn't produce something excellent. Even if I didn't care for the music, at least I can know that their execution of that music is excellent. Yeah, talking about nostalgia, Forbidden Forest on Commodore 64 will forever be in my memory. Will be forever in my memory, I should say. Yeah, absolutely. When I think of my favorite shows of all time, I immediately think of Legends of the Hidden Temple. Not to necessarily say that it was the greatest show of all time, but I just think back so fondly of it that my knee-jerk impulse is to immediately respond with that. But if I actually hear the question of what's your favorite show of all time, and I sit down and think and assess, I'm sure I'm going to come up with a different answer. But actually, I already know what it is. In terms of the greatest well-written story I've ever had the pleasure of watching and taking in was Vinland Saga. What an incredible masterpiece of storytelling and animation and music. But there's plenty of shows that I've gotten a lot out of, like Fruits Basket and AOT. So Avatar: The Last Airbender, obviously, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's a lot of really incredible shows out there. The sound of a tape player loading into games is pretty iconic for me. Honestly, same. Growing up, I used a lot of cassette players, CD, like portable CD things, CD players. And I just put on my little plastic foamy headphones and enjoyed the same 10 plus songs on that one CD over and over and over and over again. I loved watching VHS tapes. It was kind of a ritual for me to stick it in, stop, rewind all the way to the beginning, hit play, go through the fun little advertisements, because ads didn't bother me then like they do now. Ads today are very much, what is it? Ads are constantly preaching, saying that this is how you should act, this is how you should think, this is what you should be doing, and it's not the wonderful, captivating, colorful pages of zoo books, Like, it's not so much about something charming. It's always about feeding your emotions, or saying, if you don't like this, or if you don't agree with this, then you're horrible, or whatever. And I'm just so tired with that kind of advertising. Just emotional. It's just so emotionally enervating. I thought I was so cool when I got a Walkman. Me too. The first time I got my Walkman, it came pre-downloaded with a few songs. One of them was inappropriate. But I still digged it. It was a fun beat. And I just, yeah, I miss that tool. I know I have it somewhere, but it doesn't work anymore. I should probably get rid of it at some point. I just keep it around to look at for nostalgic purposes. But man, what a cool device that was. The next 45 drop down on the spindle of a record player. I love record players and vinyl. I think it is so cool, not only to listen to because it has a very specific sound, which I correlate with good memories, but just the whole process. That's sick. Is my internet okay? Seems to be coming in and out. No, it should be fine. But, yeah. But that's something I actually had a problem with in terms of advertisements. Like, spend money to save the rainforest, for example. You know, it could be for any cause, but spend money to save the rainforest. And I think, okay, I'm going to go out and spend money, do this good cause. But I feel like, at least where I stand now, it's, okay, I spent money for it. And then they reach back out to me saying, hey, are you going to spend more money to save the rainforest or whatever? And I think about it, and I'm like, well, I already did. How much more money are you going to need until the rainforest is saved? and I don't mean to be cynical about it, but it's more of the thought process of, this is a problem that could endure perennially. And it's very easy to throw money at things and to make yourself feel good because you're supporting a righteous cause. But at least for me personally, I've come to realize that if I want to do good things in the world, I don't want it to be because I have some image of righteousness about myself because I'm throwing money at causes that are righteous. I want to know that my actual actions in the world are doing some kind of net good. You know, that's why I go to the park and pick up trash without other people there, without recognition, without vlogging it, without taking photos or anything like that. It's why I want to do that original content of talking through problems. I hope that by me providing perspective for people, I can actually provide some light on issues that people might be facing to say, wow, I never thought of it from this perspective. This is something really intriguing, and I'm going to take it with me as I continue to navigate through these issues. You know, I've had a few comments already say that not just my energy, but some of the things that I say have been very impactful for people. And that means the world to me, knowing that I'm creating a strong impact in people's lives like that. Just because I'm providing a very specific perspective. So, ultimately, you know, I think about, what does it mean to be and contribute genuine goodness? And I don't think, and ultimately I think just throwing money at a good cause is just very lazy and not really reflective of your character, and not very reflective of, or it actually could be, but not in necessarily a positive way. You know, I think actually going out and doing things at your inconvenience that you know is the right thing to do is much more profound and powerful than just throwing money at a cause. And on top of it, people don't necessarily have money to throw around for causes in this day and age. So you gotta just keep plugging away, doing your best, and making the most of it, you know? The little lag, but nothing much? Okay, I'm glad. You collect trash small scale, you're cool. I mean, I don't think it's that cool, but it gives me a stronger sense of fulfillment and purpose. For me, this live stream is a net very good. Aw, that's very sweet of you to say. Thank you. There's so I've been reading a couple of books recently, and or rather, I'm rereading one book and reading for the first time another book. And the book that I am currently reading right now is this wonderful book on Mark Twain. It's just a biography of his life, and I'm not very far into it. I want to say I'm only like 70, 80 pages into it out of like 600 to 700. But I'm already in love with his humor. The author's humor. Because the way that he's describing Mark Twain's humor is... I've already loved Mark Twain's humor for a long time. So the fact that the author's humor is also... It pretty well incorporates with Twain's humor, and I really dig it. We truly like you. You make us feel less alone. Aw, that's really sweet. That was... This may not be appropriate, but I want to tell you that I really enjoy your reactions to Dan. I learned a lot about music and singing from you since I found Dan and his covers. I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be appropriate, but I really appreciate that, so thank you. I think music is a beautiful art, and any way that I can make it a little bit more palatable for non-musicians, because music itself is not just playing, but an extraordinarily complex art to really understand. Like, we can hear it and we can feel how music makes us feel, but very similar to filmmaking or gardening or writing a novel or whatever art or craft that it is you're doing, you never really know the effort and work and skill that goes into creating those things from an outsider's perspective, because all you're doing is just consuming it. So the more in-depth knowledge you actually get to know, and the more the more like mind-bogglingly amazing it is. Like, a lot of people regard Mozart as a musical genius, but you actually look at Mozart in his entire career. He was a kid with a passion, put his entire life into that passion, and when he became self-sustaining, he exploded with musical ideas everywhere. And it wasn't like he was born with knowledge. He was just more easily in tune with the process of learning about something he was passionate about. And he learned it and became excellent in it. And he wrote some of the most iconic music ever written. And his masterful works, and his sister's for that matter. We just don't have a ton of his sister's music, unfortunately. But Mozart has gone on record to say that his sister was just as good, if not even perhaps in some ways a better composer than he was. But you don't get that level of profoundness in music a lot nowadays. Then you got Haydn, Handel, and both of those composers' music actually kind of bores me. It's very by the book, and I can listen to their music and appreciate it, and understand the complexity and nuance that goes into it, but it is very by the book. And as someone who has studied the book, I understand how it was created, and I've created a lot of music while I was in university that was very similar, not in terms of copying it by any means, but I've also created very by the book music because that was what our projects entailed. And looking at Mozart's music, looking at Beethoven's music, Bach's music even, you observe how skillfully they broke all the rules of classical music. Like, you don't just break rules for the sake of breaking rules. You understand the laws and the rules that have been built around music, and through that understanding, you break them in very specific ways in order to create something truly masterful. There was... oh my gosh. There's a Brahms symphony, I believe. His fourth movement moved me to tears. The entire symphony is beautiful, but when I was actually analyzing that music for one of my classes, I didn't even realize how beautifully complex and rich in its musical undertones it was. And I wouldn't even be able to observe that through just listening to it. I looked at the sheet music and hearing moments where you know you're in a new key, but it's still written in the previous key, just to create a very specific type of musical cadence. And having that clash with other instruments in the orchestra or the voices, and oh my gosh, it was so skillful. All of the greats in music history, the real greats of greats, understood the absolute skill and precision that went into making that kind of music. Incredible stuff. I'm so happy to be here this week, even if I'm late. Well, it's really nice to have you here, Rebecca. Thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it. Gethsemane shook me to my soul, brought me to tears. Music has that kind of power. I'm glad you had that kind of experience. They say you never forget your first, so I find it hard to get past Ted Neely's version. Don't consider yourself too old, you know. I don't even consider people who are 100 that old, just comparing it to the grand scheme of humanity, or the world for that matter. You know, to say that any one person is like, yeah, we can compare it to our typical lifespan for being alive, and I get it, but, you know, in this idea of we live, our body ages, and we die, I think there's a difference between your body aging and actually getting old. I feel like getting old is more of a mind state, where not too long ago, I saw a podcast with Bob Gurr and Tony Baxter, both of which are incredible, brilliant Disney Imagineers, people who built essentially Disneyland into what it was when it became Disneyland. Bob Gurr, I believe, helped create the Matterhorn. Tony Baxter created Splash Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Indiana Jones. They're like, these are big Disney icons. And Bob Gurr he is in his mid-90s. And he was just the other day running down an aisle with his grocery cart and then jumped on that little bar at the bottom and just rode it all the way down to the end of the aisle because he refuses to let go of this inner whimsy, this childlike whimsy that keeps him young and spry. And I really respect things like that. Just in this idea of you are who you are, and your body might age, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're old, because the moment you say, yeah, I'm old, then I feel like it's easy to fall into this mindset of I'm giving myself an out to become slower, to not learn as much, to not be as active, to not fully engage with the world because I'm old. But I'm giving myself a reason to be stuck in my ways, kind of thing. I've never really cared for that kind of mentality. You could be, if you want to observe it on a more grand scale, then no living person is old by any means. But if you want to talk about life expectancy, sure. But again, I think it's just more of a mindset in that regard. Inappropriateness coming up. Amadeus, the line about Handel and pooping marble. I've only seen clips of Amadeus. I haven't seen the whole film. I know about Mozart's life. I've studied music history, and a fair amount of it was based in the classical era with a lot of the classical composers, Handel, Mozart, Haydn, etc. But yeah, I can't say I know that one, but okay. It doesn't surprise me. Mozart was very childlike in his adult years because he had to be so professional in his youth. And especially when he knew how good he was and what it is that he wanted to do. Oh my gosh. He let his childlike nature explode when he became more independent. And to think that someone who only lived to his mid-30s created such a legacy for himself, one-of-a-kind musician. I don't get old, I ripen. Whatever gets you through it. Some days my mind age is still 18, other days about 105. My sister-in-law is an Imagineer. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I wish Imagineers had more liberty to do what they wanted instead of being told what it is that they should be doing. Because I think a lot of Imagineers have a lot of really creative and interesting ideas, at least from what I've been able to observe. But the company just keeps making a lot of bad decisions. But it doesn't mean that the magic of Disneyland has gotten necessarily less. I just ignore a lot of the things the Now company is incorporating. Like when I went yesterday, I did everything I wanted to do, bell to bell. I loved every second of it, and not once did I go into Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge. Because I don't like it in that area of the park. I really don't. And I love Star Wars. I love it. I love, like, when I was a kid, the prequels just started coming out. But before I even saw those, I watched the originals, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and I immediately fell in love with the characters. Leia, Han, Luke, Yoda, Obi-Wan, or Ben. Like, just Darth Vader, especially. James Earl Jones's voice. Everything, I loved it. But that's not what Disneyland is to me. That's its own thing. Like, to me, you know, even though Disney owns Star Wars, Disney is not Star Wars, or Star Wars is not Disney. It is its own thing. And I love it for what it is. But it doesn't mean I need to expose myself to a land of it. I love just the creativity and ingenuity and the vision that Walt had for Disneyland. I actually spent a fair amount of time in the Central Pub just around the statue, just appreciating the craftsmanship that went into something like that. I love looking at little details of things like that. Amadeus is worth the watch, agree with it. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely give it a go at some point. I don't know if I can get my hands on it anytime soon or have the time to do it, but I'll keep it in mind. Peter Schaefer is one of my favorite playwrights. He's a great playwright, absolutely. If you rode the newish Mickey Mouse ride, my sister-in-law worked on that a lot. She also sourced the Millennium Falcon for the park too. I do really enjoy that Mickey ride, that Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway. I really, really dig that ride a lot. I love the entire interior cube portion. I think it's very charming, very whimsical. I think the ride itself is a lot of fun and very charming, and it just makes me happy. And the way that the sets actually develop around you and feel cartoonish, I definitely think that's a ride Walt would have loved. When I visited Star Wars Land once, I loved seeing the Millennium Falcon there. I do not like the Millennium Falcon ride. I love looking at the Falcon. I think it looks incredible. I do not like the ride. It's just a simulator. And like I've said many times on this channel, I do not like being in front of screens constantly. Like, it's just too much. It's too much. But it's awesome that she got to work on those projects. A lot of what I was doing yesterday, though, was a lot of riding the monorail and going on dark rides and Storybook Land especially. I love Storybook Land. Alice, and which is a dark ride, the Matterhorn and Space Mountain, and going to the shooting exposition, things like that. I really, really digged it. Just really making you feel like you're at Disneyland and enjoying the transitions between things. Riding Winnie the Pooh makes me very happy, obviously. I love Winnie the Pooh. And I can't say that enough, so I'm not going to stop. Think she could get me a USS Enterprise working model, of course. I mean, just the fact you've got that kind of connection is ridiculous. But yeah, that would definitely be... I'd probably add like 10 more dollar signs to that. I can only imagine how expensive that would be. But yeah. So, it looks like that's going to be the show today. I'm going to depart with, I want a people mover at Disneyland again so badly. It's just sitting there with no operation, and it deserves to be there. I love the people mover. But even beyond that, a YouTuber reached out to me. He's about the same level of popularity that I am. So I'm hoping that we can get some kind of collab done at some point soon. It's going to definitely be on acapella or beatboxing. I haven't seen much of his content though. I should probably see a little bit more of his content before I jump into it. But I'm really excited to give that a go and see what we do. It's a bit too far for any visit to Disneyland for me. I completely get it. They're not everywhere, and if you can get to them, they're outrageously expensive. You know, you gotta really want to go to really enjoy it. Long and prosper. That's Star Trek. I do love Star Trek too. Not as much as Star Wars though. I love Star Wars so much. Are you familiar with Gillian Welch and David Rawlings? Your reaction today makes you think that you would love them. I'm not familiar with either of them, unfortunately, but if you want to reach out to them and say, hey, yeah, Daniel, his channel is really, really good. It's actually the best reaction channel on YouTube, and you should absolutely take the time to meet with him. No, I've been reaching out to a bunch of different YouTubers, but if you guys want to reach out to other YouTubers that I'm not aware of, like those two, for example, by all means. I would love more opportunities to get to know others and create a stronger community of people. I think that would be awesome. Yes, please boost. I need boosts. my numbers. Not to say that they've been stagnant, but they've been slowing down a little bit, and that's all the more reason why I'm trying to kick things up with new content. So I really appreciate all of you being here and checking out the show. It really does mean a lot. So thank you guys so much, so much. I can't express my gratitude enough for you guys being here. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Take care, everyone.